Now, they can upload your video to a private server, say if you're involved with law enforcement, and then transmit it to law enforcement. Oh man, we got a bunch of people turning up. Hey, much love from Miami. What's up? Oh man, y'all are awesome. Thank y'all for coming in here like that. We really do. You know what? This is okay. I'll be talking to toxic audience members all day. I need to talk to y'all more in general because y'all really do come through with the love and like, God, it's just what a guy needs. Like shit, sometimes we all just need a little love in our life. But let's keep moving. I want to go to some suicide statistics. Oh, I am going to need a better placement for my camera because my hand's going to get in the way every time. There we go. Oh, well, thank you for the gift too. So, suicide is the 10th leading cause of death. In 2019, 47,511 Americans died by suicide. In 2019, there were an estimated 1.38 million suicide attempts. Become an advocate to help prevent suicide. Now, this is on the ASFP.org suicide stats. So, if any of you want to help prevent suicide, go to this website. Like, go actually, like, they probably need the volunteers. I would imagine this is not an easy job. I would imagine it's one that takes a lot of patience and a lot out of people. Thank y'all all for the gifts. I appreciate y'all. Some additional facts from the ASFP. The age-adjusted suicide rate in 2019 was 13.93 per 100,000 individuals. So the average age of a suicide right now in America is about 14 years old per 100,000 individuals. That's not a very long lifespan. That is just appalling. The rate of suicide is highest amongst middle-aged white men. In 2019, men died from suicide 3.63 times more often than women. And ladies, this is not to say that if you are feeling suicidal not to get help. This is get help. Get help. Don't attempt suicide either as a call for attention or to end your life. Like, get help. Get the help you need and deserve. There is a crisis with men, and the crisis with men is that we often choose fatal methods. It's not a call for help when a man decides to kill himself. The reason a man can look happy when he's about to kill himself is it's an answer to a problem. It's a solution to a problem in their eyes. That is not a solution to the problem that they don't understand is how it's going to affect the next person. So yeah, they solved their problem, their pain, and whatever ailed them in this life. But they brought that pain back to you. And that pain is now going to follow you. You're going to have traumas because of that. Do what you can to get those people that you know help. Like, my grandpa took his life when I was a child. And it was pretty devastating how he did it. And, you know, it was one of those things I wasn't allowed to grieve with my family. Like, that was their dad, even though he raised me like a father too. And I was kind of on the outside of that. It took a lot of time before they let me into the grieving circle with them. And that was a part of the trauma there. But on the other end, like, I look at my grandpa Bill and I still have love in my heart for him. Was it the same love? Is it the same reverence as I used to? No, because he never let us know. So another thing is that people won't always let you know when they're going to kill themselves. Sometimes they'll just do it. If the warning signs are there, you can help them get help. But if there are no warning signs, you won't even know until that person is gone. And that absolutely hits in one of the hardest ways I've ever experienced personally. On average, there are 130 suicides per day. White males accounted for 69.38% of suicide deaths in 2019. I'm going to skip over the firearms stat. It does include just people mishandling guns, but screw it here. Since it includes people mishandling. In 2019, firearms accounted for 50.39% of all suicide deaths. Again, this is including mishandled firearms that resulted in deaths, not just firearms being the sole cause. To be fair, I think that's the only statistic I have a dispute with on the ASFP, but that's for a different day. 93% of adults surveyed in the US think suicide can be prevented. And I would challenge you guys to do that, to prevent that, to whenever you can, when you see someone who is suffering like that, to protect them, help them protect themselves, help them protect them from themselves. If they won't get help, help them if you can. Like, talk to them about getting help. Show them the ways to get help. I'm going to close this AFSP tab. We're done here. We went through that. But, I mean, again, there's more numbers to call on this other website. I mean, you know, we need to really be more clear about suicide. And when there is no sign, there is usually still suicidal ideation about suicide, where like maybe there's not a sign, but they make a remark like, oh, everybody would be better off with me dead. That could be considered a sign, and you should unpack that when your friend says that. Even if your friend's like, oh, I was just joking, like, move along, you should try to unpack that. A big tip I want to give out, and I know that it's going to go against a lot of modern wisdom, as we call it, but men need to be very protective of their feelings in public. We need to not be breaking down and crying. Like, you all saw me almost cry reading those statistics live. I held it together. Because this is not the place for me to have a tear. This is not the place for me to have a moment of weakness. But when I'm with my girl, when I'm with my kid, when I'm with my friends, when I'm with my family, those are places I could be weak. Those are places I could have a moment of weakness as a man. That's to say that as a man, I do not trust the people that will come and try to say something ugly just because. I just don't need that. I don't need that. That's why y'all never see me cry on camera. That Marine earlier almost had me crying on camera. That was the 5th time I almost cried on camera today reading that. Whew, man. But you can't see that. There's a reason. The minute y'all see that, not my audience, but the opposing audiences, they'll tear me down. Even though it's okay for a man to be strong and cry, what man looks stronger for crying in public? None of us do. We need to be more okay with taking our feelings to the bar with our friends and to our family. And those are the two places men need to be putting their feelings. We don't need to put our feelings out for the world to hurt them. It does not work the same for men and women when we share our feelings. To be fair, women, you guys can share your feelings more openly. There is less criticism about how you feel. When a man feels anything, he is criticized, told why he shouldn't feel that way, why he's an oppressor, or why he... Like, there are problems in our society that are hurting men because we told them to open up. We need to start talking to men about where to open up, too. Like, that's my whole thing, is like, yeah, okay, we got men opening up more. Now it's time to get us to the right spots. I wouldn't open up all my feelings to the world unless I had a bottle of beer and a bestie by me, because then I would be like, chugging, 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 choo, choo. And if you see someone that needs help and you can't help someone, will help. Amen, though. No, amen. If you see someone who needs that help and you can't help, there is someone who will be able to. You might not be that person, but that is very, very true, that someone can help. Just some quick definitions to go with this. Suicide is defined as death caused by self-directed, injurious behavior with intent to die as a result of the behavior. A suicide attempt is a non-fatal, self-directed, potentially injurious behavior with intent to die as a result of the behavior. A suicide attempt might not result in injury. So an attempt can be made without the injury. We went through suicidal ideation, but just to give you a clear definition, refers to thinking about, considering, or planning suicide. If you know someone who's in these steps or going through this, please get them the help they need. If you can't help, if you're not in a position to help, please get them the help they need. Suicide is the leading cause of death in the U.S. We went through those 2019 statistics already. Leading cause of death in the U.S. selected for age groups, 2019 data courtesy of the CDC. So, unintentional injury is the first ranked, and it is at 10. So suicide's the second ranked leading cause of death, and it's particularly in the 10 to 34-year-old age group. In the unintentional injury category, it is the 10 to 44-year-old age group. I mean, and this really is just like, it's hard to look at, guys. This is not something, it's not something that people just, I don't know. It's something that's not easy to talk about, especially like if you've been around people who've killed themselves, or one of my friends took his life and he left us his magic cards and we didn't know. And we just didn't know. Like, we didn't know that was the gift. Like, we didn't know that was him planning to take his life the next week. Like, we really just did not know. And something I felt bad for was for not getting to know him more. At the same time, I also have to look at the reality was we hadn't like known each other a whole lot, and that I wanted to get to know him more, but that opportunity was taken from me. And it wasn't that he was doing it to be selfish and take that opportunity. He was going through a lot. But we all on Saturday woke up drunk. I had to go to a funeral, and that was just, we didn't know. We really didn't know. And it was hard. Hard hearing what people had to say who've never met him versus people who never met the real him. I mean, at least I was getting to know that side of him, and that means something to me. I mean, we were getting closer. Like, the dude was like telling me who he was. I was telling him who I was. There was a point in time where we both never thought we would ever get along, and we were starting to towards the end of his time. And I mean, he had the signs there. He did. Let's pull that up real quick, and then I'll start taking questions, because I think this is the last major thing we need to cover. Let's see, warning signs of suicide. Let's just pull this tab open. Alright, these are some warning signs. If you recognize any of the following signs of suicide in yourself or others, you should reach out for support. And I'm reading this directly off of maketheconnection.net. Feeling hopeless, trapped, or like there's no way out. Having persistent or worsening trouble sleeping or eating. Feeling anxious or agitated. Feeling like there is no reason to live. Feeling rage or anger. Engaging in risky activities without thinking of the consequences. Increasing alcohol or drug misuse. Withdrawing from family and friends. And this is what my friend did, was he withdrew from us after he started getting real comfortable with us. And I mean, and those are warning signs. I mean, the following warning signs require immediate action. Those are just smaller warning signs. These are some serious warning signs that we really got to consider. And we really need to reach out to help people when they're going through this. Making a plan for how or when to attempt suicide. Frequently talking, writing, or drawing about death or items that can cause physical harm. Acting recklessly or engaging in activities without thinking about the consequences. Behaving violently as punching holes in the walls, getting into fights, or engaging in acts of self-harm. Feeling rage or uncontrolled anger or seeking revenge. Acting as though you have a death wish. Tempting fate by taking risks that could lead to death, such as driving fast or running red lights. Giving away prized possessions. That was the sign I was talking about, is if someone's giving away all of their prized possessions, that's something to note. We didn't know about the other stuff he gave away. We just knew he gave us a box full of magic cards. We did not know about the rest. We had a warning sign and we should have acted. We didn't know. And I hope you can save your friend's life in a way that me and my friends weren't able to meaningfully save ours. So, putting your affairs in order, tying up loose ends, and or making out a will. This is another sign that he gave us that we should have recognized was immediately trying to end his life. Was he was trying to rectify all the wrongs he'd done in life with everybody, and we should have seen that too. Again, we didn't know. We really didn't know. There wasn't someone out there putting that same information out. There was the guy, I don't know if y'all remember him from Health Week in middle school. This would have been like 08, 09. He traveled school to school talking about his sons who killed themselves, and it was one of the hardest conversations I've ever heard. Ever. One of his sons killed himself with no signs, and another son of his, really with every warning sign, still took his life even though they were trying to get him help. And the way the speaker put it, Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't force anyone to a mental health facility. That's not it. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is like, give them the numbers. Ask them to seek help. Ask them to see a therapist. Don't put them in a facility at all, because that is going to aggravate most conditions, mentally speaking. What they need is they need mental help, or they need maybe even just to talk to someone. And like, some people, you're not going to be the one they can talk to, you know. I understand that where you tried to help. Don't go for the mental health facility thing. Like, I mean, it'd probably be easier to ask that person how they're hanging in there, how they're doing, and what they're up to. And I mean, oh, sorry, before I derail into the comments, because this is the last thing I really want to talk about, is I want to finish these lists of immediate things to look for, and this is the last one: seeking access to firearms, pills, or other means of harming yourself. I mean, what we need to do is we need to, one, have a normal, healthy talk about mental health. We do. Men's mental health is in decline, and we need to be able to talk about it. What we need to do is we need to normalize the conversation about mental health and getting checked in. A lot of my generation fears mental health, and let me tell you why. Most of my generation is crackpots, and they do not want to hear from a therapist that they need to work on themselves before suggesting that the world has a problem. But that is the case. A lot of people need help right now, and people are afraid to seek the help that they actually need. And I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right that men's mental health is stigmatized in a way that men cannot talk about it without putting themselves at risk of being mocked, without putting themselves at risk of being endangered. Like, and I don't care who does it or who says what. I will say that, oh, thank you very much. And oh yeah, no, we are talking some hard stuff today. I will say this, that the commenter on that video, like with the Marine, where the vet, that, very, 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 very few things in this world will ever leave me shaken other than someone telling off a vet who fought for your right to do that. And that's the person you're going to use it on. You're going to use your freedom of speech on someone who fought, has demons, has scars. Because, oh, I know that was you. I know that was you. I saw you watching, and I wasn't going to shout you out, but I appreciate you coming in here, and I want you to know that you've got love, and I heard your message about not doxing that person, and I understand. That person doesn't need to be doxed. We don't need to go after them. Stay strong, my man. You know what? You've got bigger demons than I ever will, and I appreciate you coming into my chat, my man. I really do. And I want you to very much, honestly, you got to get out there and tell your story, my man. You've really got to, because you have probably a better story than most people do, and we want to hear it. I can't say we deserve to. We only deserve what you choose to give us, but if you decide to share that, we would love to hear your story, because I mean, you are overcoming your mental health, and that in and of itself is hard. Just know that you have love and support. Shit, if you gotta turn up here on TikTok, we'll fucking love and support the shit out of you. You ever seen my comment section? They are nothing but love and support out here. So if you ever find yourself needing that, we here. Amen. Hey, no, and you know what? You are a warrior in a garden, and you maintain that energy in your life, and like, I resonate with that so much, my man. Thank you. We will never be out of that fight, ever. Shoot, we'll never stop fighting. We'll never get to stop if you're truly standing for something you believe in. That is true. Oh, also, guys, I'm open to taking questions about suicide prevention, what we could do. Like, feel free to come in and ask, because, like, I got a few more minutes. I'm going to run this live, and then I'm going to try to get it onto my YouTube. I just want to say thank you guys in the comments, because you really are you guys are super supportive in general, and I love every minute of it. And I just really, really appreciate it. And you guys have a lot of good knowledge on your part too. Like, I like what Brooklyn here said. And if you see someone that needs help and you can't help that someone else will. If they can, they will. Like, that's not inaccurate. Now, again, I also like the point of don't put your friend in a mental facility. Like, I absolutely love the point of do not put your friend in a mental facility. That probably isn't going to help. If your friend is, like, giving you the full ideation of suicide, like they're okay with it, then maybe that is the route to take. But if it's preventable, if it's something that can be talked about first before mental help is sought later, talk to your friend first. See what's going on with them. See what they're missing out and see what they need. No, you know what? I said there wasn't going to be a lot of people to come on this live, and you were actually one of the people I was hoping would see my live. And if you did choose to come on, I wasn't going to stop you in any way. I really do appreciate you out there, though, and I appreciate you sharing that comment, because that's bravery. I mean, anybody in here, I think, could respect the bravery that took to share that comment and put that out there. I mean, and I feel bad that everyone's trying to dox that person in the same regard, because that's not what you asked. That isn't, you just wanted to show the comment to show what it was, and I understand that, and nobody should be trying to dox anybody. That can contribute to some pretty poor mental health. But what I can say is this, is that account, I personally am looking into getting it reported and taken off of TikTok. You're not the first person to have problems with them. But you definitely brought a problem in TikTok's end to its attention, and TikTok did nothing. And that's where, personally, I'm not going to put out that person's info. I promise you that. I'm going to take care of it and make sure I get them reported. And if I have to go through and find an email, I'm going to get them reported, because that's not okay. But I really do want you guys, all the girls in the audience, if you feel like you're falling apart, if you're losing control of your life, talk to someone. It doesn't have to be a medical care professional. If we're talking the signs like making a plan for how and when to attempt suicide through seeking to access a firearm and other means of harming the self, that needs to be addressed immediately with a therapist for yourself, and with self-help, and with mental health management. That's what that would need. But if it is something your friend can be talked out of, if it is something, I love The Fray. I'm not the biggest fan of The Fray, but I mean, How to Save a Life is just a beautiful song. What it's about, I mean, it's not inaccurate about talking to your friends about suicide. It's very on point about talking to a friend or a family member who is suicidal, and we need to have this conversation more, and it is a conversation that is missing in our society. I say one aspect of it is how much of it is affecting men, that we can't talk about men's issues anymore. Men's issues aren't allowed to be talked about. Now, it's not just a men's issue either. As women age, there are going to be less men continually, along with the suicide pattern. And now I also found multiple articles stating the suicide rate dropped, but in particular in Japan, it also re-increased in 2020. So for the world dropping, that's good. Japan jumped. And it's such a hard war on every front. We're never going to win every battle when it comes down to it. We can't save every life. But what we can do is we can try a little harder to save who we can and keep around who we can. Y'all got me driven to tears just talking about this. Like, that's how heavy of a subject this is to me. And I mean, to be fair, without my daughter and without checking myself into therapy to help with just my situation, I don't know if I would be here talking to you guys. I don't know that I would be here with you today, telling you my story, sharing other people's stories. I don't think I would be. Without my daughter and without the mental health I took care of myself, I couldn't tell you guys I would be here. It wasn't until I realized my depression was just a cloud in my sky and not the whole sky itself that I really had a problem. And Working with a therapist, you learn what kind of depressions you have. I have situational depression, so in a bad situation it spikes. But I took what I took from it, and what I took from it was that, sometimes it's okay to be a little sad when things don't work out. It's what you do about it after that. I can't mope about everything forever. I just can't. I don't have that kind of lame in me, but I can definitely take a day or two when I'm hurting and just shut off for a little bit, come back a lot more renewed. No, and we do need people sharing their message. We really do. But we definitely need people, and we definitely need you out there, my man, as soon as you can get on live. I mean, shoot, that's what we need, is we need your story. I'm here like, I was in a dark spot. I didn't even have a plan or nothing like that time in my life. I was just in a bad spot. Called the crisis prevention hotline first. Talked to someone there. Talked about my situation. That lady had me feeling great. She was talking like a saint. She was telling me how much she loved her adopted baby. And man, at that point, I was like, adoption, here we come. You love your adopted baby more than your freaking bio baby. And it wasn't to be mean. She was just saying that, like, she loved her adopted baby as much, if not a little more. And that was a part of the situation I was going through. How's it going? When I found out that I had situational depression, it was a lot easier to manage because I love to take myself out of bad situations. That helps manage my situational depression. If I walk into a setup, I'm walking out that same setup the same way I walked in. Smiling and waving. I definitely think you guys should be more open with your mental health where you can. Everybody. That's a comment got me feeling the whole other way. Can we get RX Psycho Lady, man? I'm working on it. Give me some time. I'm working. I mean, you know me now at this point. Y'all know I love a process. Y'all know I love filing the paperwork. But on another note, keeping it with what we are talking about, I do want... Okay. Just so it is known, I do think RXO is like 3 or 4 of those symptoms on the suicide prevention list, like the nothing to lose aspect in particular, like the acting recklessly. That's what that is. She acts very recklessly. That is a sign of suicidal behavior. That's not to throw shade at her in any way at all. That's to say that acting recklessly is genuinely a suicidal behavior. You will walk in front of a car just to get hurt, just to try to die. Like that. That's where we do need to get her account pulled down, is so her and her child can be safe, because suicide prevention is important, but having people breathe down your back every single mistake, even me, I'm breathing down her back every mistake, that can be heavy. And don't get me wrong, do not get me wrong, the child is the biggest concern there. I'm not gonna deny that. I'm still saying, I'm gonna finish this one up. I'm gonna wrap it up on the note of mental health. And what I want everyone to take away is, if you have a bro who feels he can't talk to you about his mental health, don't take that personally. Maybe you're not the one. But if your bro says, hey, but get Jeff here, get Jamal here, and I'll talk about my feelings, get those people there. Or if not, get them on the phone. Do what you can, or help them get in contact with those people. Amen, she don't. But help them get in contact with those people. And for real, we really need to be looking out for each other. Especially with suicide. It's one of those things that you really won't know until someone's really gone sometimes. And the best way to keep an eye out is just check for those signs. When your friend tells you, yeah, I just gave away half of my possessions, yeah, I loved all these things, but yeah, that means they're not doing good. That means they need help and maybe someone to talk to. That's what that is exactly correct, Davis Hollow. That is correct. We can't go after someone in a way. it's hard for me because I don't want to do too many videos where I'm labeling her anything, because I don't want her to, like, be in a position to jeopardize herself for any reason. She also keeps doxing people, which is self-jeopardy. That, again, that falls under the reckless behavior thing, and it just is not a good look in general. But like I said, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap this up. If y'all have any questions about suicide prevention, I've done this on YouTube. I've covered it multiple times. My pronouns are King, Sire, Your Lordship, and also His Mighty Highest. But, sorry, Sasquatch 535 wanted to know what my pronouns were. But I very much think that we need to talk about it more. I've tried talking about it a lot on YouTube. And on YouTube I've never had success with growth. So, what I'll do is I'll probably download this live replay, and then after that, it'll be on YouTube. I think I'm gonna title it, because a lot of my people get online after 6 p.m. Mountain Standard, so like 4 p.m. and other, like, far East Coast, and then like 5 p.m. a little closer. So I'm thinking that's going to be the 6 p.m. club. I think that's what I'm going to title some of these lives. This one is definitely going to be, this one's going up. Like, this one is absolutely going up. That's part of why I wanted to talk about mental health, is to keep hammering in, like, even on YouTube, like, ways we can help each other. My thoughts on the LGBT community. I love my great aunt. She's a lesbian. She's a Catholic, and I have no issues with her. She was great with my daughter. In fact, I think most LGBT people are pretty okay. Sasquatch 535, I get that you want to disrupt, but I'm going to kind of kill that vibe for you. You're kind of being a major a-hole here just because we are talking about something else. You could talk to us about RXO if you feel like it, but even that pertains to poor mental health. But what you're talking about doesn't pertain to the issues at all, my man. But I am going to give you this shout out that you are the one who wanted to come into a live stream about mental health and start talking about the LGBT community and my pronouns. So, Sasquatch will probably be seeing you reported. But, an open and honest discussion about mental health. What that means for men is not having that discussion in public with people they don't know. Hey, Southern Colorado, what is up? I hope you guys are doing good. I got family down in Pueblo. I really hope y'all doing all right in Southern Colorado. I don't know what part of Southern Colorado, but dope. I'm up here in North Metro Denver, so you know, that Thornton area, baby. But like, oh snap, Alamosa, that's what's up. But yeah, I gotta give Sasquatch 535 their shout out here, because they wanted to come into a mental health based live and ask about LGBT and also ask about my pronouns, which I answered both questions.